In Japan, we always adore other food cultures in different countries. We learn it and often tweak it into our own recipes, just like Japanese-style pastas and hamburgers. Today, we're gonna be making fusion soup recipes which are flavor-packed, easy, and nutritious. I make both recipes over and over again just because it is so good. I'm really excited to share with you, so let's begin. Wow! First one is my take on tomato lentil soup. We have carrots, onions, and Chinese cabbage. Chop them into small bite-sized pieces. The soup recipe is always very forgiving. Just remember, the bigger the size it gets, the longer it takes to cook. I highly recommend not to skip onion and carrots since that's the base of our soup. But other than that, you can change up to any other vegetable you have on hand. Sweet potatoes, leeks, corn, they are all so good. I call soup as an eating supplement. So the more variety you got, the more nutritious it would be. Thinly sliced shiitake mushrooms. Again, any mushroom will do. If you're not a mushroom lover, feel free to swap for celery instead. Minced garlic and ginger. I use quite a lot just because I'm a big fan of ginger and garlic. But if you are sensitive to the heat or making this for kids, feel free to reduce the amount of ginger. And for the garlic, when it's cooked, it will create the depth in flavor without leaving much heat to it. So keep it as is if you can. All the measurements are written on my blog. The link is on the description box. To the pot, heat olive oil followed by ginger and garlic. Let the aroma to open up over medium heat for a couple of minutes. Keep it moving as we don't want to burn. When your kitchen starts to smell amazing, add all the vegetables we just chopped. Once all the vegetables are coated with oil, add shiokoji. Shiokoji is a salted rice malt. I always use it as a replacement for salt. When the recipe calls for half teaspoon of salt, I will add about 1 tablespoon of shiokoji. It will extract more flavor from the vegetable. I highly recommend trying shiokoji, especially if you are a soup lover like myself. If you don't have one on hand, no worries, just swap for half teaspoon of salt. Close the lid and reduce it to simmer, then cook it for another 10 minutes or so. Don't add the liquid too soon, as steaming the vegetable will create the extra dimension to the soup. When the vegetables are nice and tender, time to spice them up. Add Chinese 5 spices and dried basil. I was pretty intimidated to use spices since I didn't know how to use it, but incorporating spices is a game changer. It makes it so much more flavorful. Let it cook for another 30 seconds for the aroma to bloom. Add tomato juice, nothing gets added, soup stock powder, dried lentils, rinsed and drained, and dried shrimp. If you don't have a dried shrimp, you can skip it. Still gonna be really flavorful, but it makes it good to be unforgettable. If you want to add a regular shrimp, I recommend sauteing it first in a separate pan and mix it into the soup just before serving it. Otherwise, the shrimp might get too tough. Simmer it for another 15 minutes with the cover on until the lentil is cooked. If you want to speed up the process, soaking the lentils beforehand would help probably. I'm not sure about the soaking time and the cooking time. Does anyone know about it? Please help me here in the comment section. I'm sure other people can appreciate that too. After 15 minutes, look at this. Smells and looks heavenly. Have a taste and add soy sauce if it's needed. Wow! 美味しい! これもうお醤油いらないわ. I like to use shoyu koji, which is a mixture of rice mold and soy sauce being fermented. The consistency will be chunky rather than soupy. If you want, feel free to splash some water or tomato juice to your liking. I kind of like to have a little bit of texture left rather than having ingredients swimming around in the soup, so this is just perfect for me. I like to enjoy it with a drizzle of vinegar or lemon juice and maybe add a drop of yogurt if that's your choice. I make this at least once a week and still haven't got tired of it. It's just super good. I really want you guys to try it. Next up, creamy miso broccoli soup. I keep it vegan, so I hope many of you can enjoy it. We're gonna need 300 grams of broccoli, equivalent to about 3.5 cups of chopped broccoli. Cut florets into small bite-sized pieces. This stem part is usually too fibrous to eat, but we're gonna use them all for this time, which makes me so happy. Thinly slice it into at least 1/4 inch, otherwise it's gonna take you a quite long time. Some of you ask me what is the best knife to cut hard vegetable like kabocha squash. I would say this nakiri knife works pretty well for me. I explained more in a different video, so I hope it helps. Sliced onion, minced garlic. Again, I use 5 cloves of garlic. It's gonna give you a nice kick to the end, so don't knock until you try it. Now to the pot on medium heat, add olive oil followed by garlic and onion. Let the aroma infuse for a couple of minutes just like we did in the previous soup. This time, we kind of want to lightly caramelize the onion. Continue to stir and splash some water if it's needed. I did about 5 minutes or so. When the onion is nice and browned, add broccoli and shiokoji. Again, you can always swap for half teaspoon of salt. One more mix and cover it with the lid. Steam it for another 5 minutes until the broccoli is wet. Add water, soup stock powder, and oats. Cook it on low for another 7 to 10 minutes until the broccoli is completely cooked. Depending on how big your broccoli is, it might take you longer. Quick notes, this oats will act as a thickener. If you don't want the consistency to be too thick, please omit these oats. After 10 minutes, blend it up with an immersion blender or standing blender until it's smooth. Since we opt for the whole broccoli stem, there are lots of fibers, so I recommend to blitz up all the way through. If you want to leave it chunky, you could, but then make sure to remove the outer top layer of broccoli stem and use only inside of it. Add soy milk, frozen edamame, and miso paste. Use any milk you have on hand. And depending on the soup stock powder you use, the sodium contents differ. So before adding miso paste, have a taste and add miso paste little by little. It's always safe to undersalt in the first place. When the soup is warm, just before starting to boil, off the heat and ready to be enjoyed. Pour yourself generous amount of this creamy green soup. I highly recommend adding freshly cracked black pepper along with any fresh herb you like. Sprinkle some nutritional yeast. This is my very first time trying nutritional yeast. Some of you told me it is best to use nutritional yeast in place of cheese. It's so hard to pronounce nutritional yeast for me. So I found it in the supermarket and thank you for teaching me this. Let's give it a go. Some of you ask me, do you eat pasta or any other Western style food? I was pretty surprised to be asked because, yes, we do go through lots of non-Asian food, especially in present day. In my parent generation, their food was based on classic Japanese food, but now lots of food is influenced by other countries. It is great because I can feel other countries much closer through food, but at the same time, it's sad to see less people are keeping their traditional Japanese cooking style nowadays. I will continue to make both and share with you guys. Let me know if you enjoy these Western fusion type of recipes, as this is pretty new trial for me. I always want to share what you guys think is beneficial. And before we sign off, I want to ask you something. I have been looking for a way to make your cooking like a little bit easier, which led me to making e-cookbooks. But what else can I do for you guys? I've been thinking, and here's the idea. I love cooking, but when I'm very busy and overwhelmed by so many things in life, I don't know how many times I wished I could have someone to plan the meal for me. Does anyone resonate with this feeling? I'm thinking of starting off the new meal plan service where I send you Japanese mom style dinner ideas weekly together with a grocery list so that you don't have to be worried about what to make for dinner. This idea just popped up in my mind and I haven't started anything yet. Before I start, I want to have your honest feedback. I was wondering how many of you will be interested in this service. Let me know in the comment section below. And thanks a lot for supporting and watching till the end. See you on the next one. Bye bye. またね。